Welcome back to Remember Me, part 5. So after dealing with those leapers, let's move on in search for another path to the leaking brain. Again, thanks to the spammer, now we can open paths that were... Anyway, tous les jours, c'est love, whatever. It's a metaphor for the brain, suggesting not to lose yourself to the sensing system. It's in French. Unfortunately, though, that pool of water means we cannot pass. What we can do is open the gate for a while and run it... Ah, Jesus! That's some Major Geiger shit right there. Anyway, to open there and move on. Unfortunately, the Reapers seem to be swarming around the area, so that probably means we're gonna get ambushed again. We're gonna meet this captain later on in another chapter. Crazy ass flood.
And multiple street parties in the poorer districts. And we have public enemy number 1, that mad cat Nilin, still at large. This dying movement is up and dancing on the tables.
She has a point.
Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna get to the Bastille, but not in the way you think. Let's move on. Totally not, not an impartial, you know, news channel. Graves. Graves? Oh, maybe it's BRB.
Yeah.
It is. Well, maybe Shio, you can answer this. Is there any... Anyway, here's another Scarmac. Is there any major channel in the UK which is totally, obviously, even though it tries to cover, obviously, on the side of any political movement?
You mean the UK equivalent of Fox News?
I mean, you don't have to give me names, don't worry.
Not as blatant as something like Fox, but yes, definitely,
BBC.
Especially the BBC. Yeah.
Yeah. we have those in my country as well, sadly. To a point where news is almost unwatchable because everyone is trying to pull their side of a rope. It's a bit sad.
I don't think any news channel is 100% impartial, honestly.
Anyway, as mentioned, now the Leapers have ambushed us. Now introduce a new gimmick, the fact that the Leapers run through the walls. However, and if you let them go, they start gonna jumping on you and taking you by surprise. However, you can shoot them down using the spammer, and this gives you an incredible advantage over them. So you always keep your eyes peeled or be prepared to dodge. For now, let's just deal with this horde. Jesus. Anyway, again, with this Commander Leaper on the field, we need to defeat the little one first before he's actually vulnerable. Otherwise, he will keep counterattack unless he uses the Sense and Fury like this. Just die. There we go.
Okay, I want her to be a Marvel vs. Capcom now.
Sorry, can you repeat that, Edge?
I want her to be a Marvel vs. Capcom now.
Yeah, as I mentioned, she has the potential. Well, I haven't mentioned yet, but basically she has the potential for a good moveset, not just for their melee attacks, but thanks to her superpowers. Then again, using quote-unquote the Sakurai method, you can technically make a moveset for every single character possible. But
I mean, if you're gonna add someone like Spencer, especially since not that many people like him,
you're not finding easy territory here, Dej, because I'm a huge fan of Bionic Commando, so having Spencer in Infinite from the start, it's kind of okay to me.
Well, I'm talking about no one likes that version of Spencer. People like...
I mean, the plot twist of the 2009 reboot is incredibly stupid, but at least I enjoyed it for what it was trying to do. It should have been a bit more like a more open world instead of being linear, and it should have expanded more and have a less retarded plot, obviously.
It should have.
But for example, Spencer's physical design, with the dreads and everything, doesn't really bother me. The only problem was for people was that just a year before, or just even a couple of months, the same studio that made the 2009 reboot also made Bionic Commando Rearmed, which is a remake of the first game. And there, Spencer had a much more interesting design that was, well, more like in the second game, but it was more like a throwback to 80s action TV series like Knight Rider or Magnum PI.
Hey, at least we can thank Capcom they didn't go with DMC Dante's design.
Yeah, true.
Although, considering his current design in that
it's
game,
weird.
It
It still has the Devil May Cry 3 design. I thought they were going to give him the one from 4 at this point. I guess DLC costume. Well, Dej, if you've seen so far, the DLC costumes for the characters seem to be very good, especially the one from Rex.
That's why I'm angry.
Well, Dej, if you're really not expecting costumes to be DLC in this day and age, I'm sorry, you're belittling, regardless of the fact that it's Capcom. Anyway, this sign is actually foreshadowing for later. Jax is actually a pet panda, which is a little robot, and you seem to remember it. But we're gonna find out more about it later. Anyway, you wanted to respond in Dej?
No.
Okay. Anyway, we're actually close to the leaking brain. We just need to jump on a bit more roof and fight a bit more leapers. Yes,
I was talking in code.
Why?
Leapers.
No, these are the terms of the game, dweebs. There we go. Anyway, we have a new new presence. As mentioned briefly in the previous part, these presence are called chain presence and amplify basically doubles the effect of the presence right immediately before them. So if it's a red presence, it gives you still an attack. It counts as a red, still counts as a red present, but it gives much more power to it. If it's a yellow one, you regain more health, and if it's a purple one, the cooldown is shortened even further. So these are great. Also help you greatly to customize your combos more efficiently. So essentially, now the game has laid out the presence that you need. After that, it's up to you, and the fact that you obviously still need to power up a bit. But thankfully, powering up is actually really easy, thanks to the fact that you fight a lot of leapers, and you can find the Scaramouche.
Sorry, 1 second. Dwibs, go to 9 minutes.
Okie.
Take care.
But basically, basically, I was done with that. Basically, it's easy to level up, so it's easy also to customize your combos. We're almost there, Blibs.
Okay, he's at 9-2 now.
Nothing's really going on. We're just beating more leapers anyway. And get ready, Dweebs, and Kalika.
Okay.
Anyway, there we go. You can use potentially the spammer against the Commander Leaper, the giant one, but it's not gonna do that much of an effect until you get a power up right in this part. Anyway, we should be almost done. We should be almost done. Oh, there you go. You can also push, where if there are ledges, you can push leapers from there with any kind of attack. So it can also come to you to help you later. Anyway, moving on. I was searching if there are some kind of secrets, something there, but no. So let's not move on. Here we go. Yes, Deji's truck.
Train.
Anyway, there you go. Here's an extra focus boost.
Maybe Deji decided to go become a twirly mustache bad guy who traps women into the rail tracks.
It didn't though sound like a steam train though. Anyway, there we go. I think right now, yeah, here the game will actually be surprisingly enough a bit subtle with introducing a new enemy type. Or I think it's a bit later on, but yeah, it's still in this part.
Nilin, I'm waiting.
Anyway, Tommy is contacting us.
I'm looking forward to helping you find Johnny.
Johnny?
Johnny Greenteeth, the bogeyman of Slum 404.
We're gonna meet him next part.
Passageways beneath La Bastille. At least that's what Ed said.
You know, if they went for the subtitles, I'd keep mistaking it for green tea.
We're gonna say Greenpeace for a second.
Oh, you can actually
No,
read.
indeed.
You can actually read those, Shirai? I'm surprised.
Well, it's one, I'm zoomed in anyway, and two, it's more to do with the fact that the name has been consistently used.
There we go. Yeah, I think it's up now. There you go. For now, we need just to clear the path. Yeah, there we go. It's about right now. First, let me get a Scaramec, if I manage somehow. Yeah, I think I committed suicide here because I needed to wait for the platform to raise up again, which I think it's because I think there's a Scaramec right under you or something. Again, it's been a while since I recorded this.
How long ago was
Basically,
it?
Nilin couldn't bear her mistake anymore and did that.
How
There
long
it
ago
is.
did you record this?
Almost a year, I think. It was in 2016. There we go. Now the game will be a bit subtle with a slight tone of tension that you will see normally in a horror movie. It's not explicitly a horror sequence, but it's not going to be like a jump scare or anything. But there is tension.
There's your jump scare.
Oh my god, too spoopy. Oh, there's someone.
Ah. Pow.
Poya.
If it's a pow, I was gonna say.
Maybe it's
what
a
is this?
Russian insult, I don't know.
What is this? Is this the 60s Batman having the sound effects in letters?
It wasn't colorful enough though.
Damn. And there's no Batman here, so.
It's not even a traditional superhero story, because, but although, you know, this technology can be considered as a superpower, I guess.
Unless they make it Marvel versus DC versus Capcom.
It's never, sadly, it's never gonna happen. Licensing stuff and the fact that Disney and Warner Bros. Still hate each other. But remember, Marvel vs. DC actually happened in the early 90s, comic book wise. I'll tell you more in a second. For now, it's just to introduce the new enemy type, which are these leapers, which are naked, I guess, and they can turn invisible somehow. However, when they're exposed in the light, here these guys actually fails. So what you need to do is to irradiate them with light, and then start beating the shit out of them. Anyway, Dweebs, to elaborate on what he just said, in the early 90s, since Marvel and DC were very popular back then, and they were in their Bronze Age, so they were still very well regarded, it was before the Dark Age of comics, both of them decided and agreed to do a sort of competition. They created this line, which was called Marvel vs. DC. It was very simple, it's a title. And the plot was very simple. Two gigantic titans representing each of the two comic book things were decided to decide to confront each other and see which of their representative was much more powerful. Think of the Dissidia game, but with comic book Marvel and DC.
Okay, now I want that.
At the end of the day, though, it was pretty much a draw because at the same, both all the artists didn't wanted to actually have one of the two companies prevail over the other. So they basically ended it with a draw and a handshake of a representative, Superman and Captain America, I think. But from that event, it actually spawned a non-canon actual series called the Amalgam Universe, which took several heroes and which several characters from the Marvel and the DC universe in pairs, combine those two pairs in one character and having them stories about the fusion of Wolverine and Batman, a fusion between Superman and Captain America, a fusion between Lobo and Howard the Duck, yes, that was a thing, and a fusion between Captain Marvel and, well, Captain Marvel, because both universes had one, so they were it was unresistible to attempt
Captain Marvel and Captain Marvel combined to make Captain Marvel.
Yeah, this is because dweebs back then we weren't too much licensing issue. Only recently DC had to forcefully change the name of their Captain Marvel into Shazam. But back in the day, it was like that.
I keep thinking Shazam's Kazam.
Well, because
Kazam.
of the movie
with
Shaquille. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, unfortunately, you had to fight a bit more more vanishing leapers. But thankfully, it's here that we'll get introduced to a new power-up, a focus power-up, actually.
Kazam.
Because
Shazam.
unfortunately, one of those motherfuckers actually cuts off the light. So we need to find another way. And what it is, it's the power-up that we saw at the earlies of Chapter 1, the DOS Sensen, which basically functions as a stunning mechanic. Nilin punches the ground and it stuns all enemies in the area. At least
MS-DOS.
Sorta. At least those with a complete function, with still some sort of functioning Sensen system. There are some leapers who, due to the treatment they had, were immune to this focus power-up, but we're gonna meet them much more later on. For now, we can just relax and beat those.
Beat them.
It's gonna kill you!
I don't get the reference.
Light Crusader Dej. It's a game me, Dweebs, and Pedro commented it on. It's fun. It was fun, and it had that cheesy synthesized voice with only a Sega Genesis / Mega Drive.
Basically, Deji, it's a dungeon crawling RPG, and it has these voice clips saying that basically tell you what to do. For example, if you get into a room where you're supposed to beat all the enemies to advance, the voice says, "Beat them." Yes.
And since it's a Sega Genesis Mega Drive synthesized, like.
Yeah, and it's also.
Answer the riddle.
Yeah. Whenever you enter a room with a puzzle that you have to solve, the guy always says, "Answer the," and he always says it in this specific tone. "Answer the riddle." Like he always says it like this. "Answer the riddle." Like it's. I have no idea what the hell the guy was eating when he recorded that line, but.
The same cereal Tommy Lee Jones eats.
I guess.
Anyway.
Well, there's one more too.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Yeah, sure. Finish ahead.
And also, when we were about to, basically, when our HP drops to like 10, like we're literally near death, then the voice says, "It's gonna kill you." So yeah, there's a lot of cheesy riffability appeal with that game.
Imagine again the wise formula thing from Altered Beast multiplied per 5.
Yeah.
Anyway, what we need to do next is actually to get up there. So platform, get on top of it, and then activate the neon bars that will allow us to get up. Don't ask me how Nilin still manages to climb up on neon bars, which don't really, expose themselves up. They just glow, and that means they're climbable, I guess.
Okay.
There we go. The thing is, we need to use the spammer to line them up in the correct way. So it's relatively easy, so there's not too much thinking into this, but it's still an interesting puzzle in concept. I wish it was elaborated a bit more. Now what we need to do is to connect there, like this, then this, and it should be fine right about now. There we go. Now we formed the line, so we should be able to climb everything up. Yeah, there is some sort of falling damage in this game, but it's not that prevalent, especially because there are not much ledges where you can jump off without insta-killing you from being a bottomless pit. Anyway, let's get up. There we go. We should actually be close to Tommy's bar. I thought that altering that neon bar would give you a secret, but no, I actually got confused. Anyway, let's jump here. There you go, Deji, for example. These... Oh, sorry, I actually died. That imagery of that particular building, the way it was lighted up and that fan in the background, pretty much screams of Blade Runner, or dystopic future a la Blade Runner, or Ghost in the Shell for that matter. So again, the presentation of this game is something I really appreciate. It's just that I wish there was the same amount of focus from there, and from the gameplay, at least for the most part, in a lot of other aspects of the game, including the plot, which we'll see later. Anyway, more Scaramex. Now we need to turn off that fan and actually move before it reactivates itself, otherwise it's obviously an insta-kill. There it is, but we need to find a way to get there. And yes, you can actually get hurted by the fire. Go ahead, Edge.
So how would you rank the difficulty?
It's fairly challenging.
Oh, so it's Dark Souls.
No.
Well, depends, Deji, which Dark Souls.
For the sake of memeing, really.
Well,
If it's Dark Souls 2, then no.
Well, but Pedro, I knew we were going to say that, so let me retaliate. Thankfully, this game doesn't have tremendously bad hitboxes, so at least there is that.
Yeah.
But basically, Deja, if you don't know, I'm playing on the easiest difficulty just to showcase. Though it doesn't change that much if you go in higher difficulties. The enemy just gets more health bar and takes a bit more damage. Traditional stuff for a game. However, it's not that big of a deal. I also platinum. I got the platinum of this game relatively easy, because if you know what you're doing, the game only has a few selective difficulty spikes, which we'll see later on, and they're due to enemies that pretty much say a big fuck you to the traditional combat system of this game. So it's all derived from the game stopping being fair, pretty much. Anyway, we have arrived actually to the leaking brain, so let's see what Tommy is up about.
You're tearing me apart, Nilin. Oh, no, that's Johnny, sorry, not Tommy.
Oops, apparently the Leaper has invaded or something. Jesus. Alright, first things first, we have to defeat these two.
Using the power of
It's called the spammer leaves. There's a reason why it's called that. You can actually spam the buttons.
Wow, Nilin took handgun really literally.
However, Dweebs, I kid you not, there is a better version of that as an unlockable weapon in Dead Space 2. Basically, Dweebs, if you beat that game in the hardest difficulty, you unlock this weapon, which is one of those rubber gloves that you see, for example, in Stadium in America. You know, the one with the finger pointing thing.
Yeah.
And Isaac Clarke can actually use it as a weapon. He goes pew 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 pew, and every single bullet is an insta kill. So it's one of those little joke weapons. I'm surprised it's there, especially in an EA game. But it's a very nice touch. Anyway, for now you have to fend off these hordes of leapers until Tommy actually gives us something that we may need. Anyway, for now let's stun them, so we should be able to deal them quickly.
Combo killing tip: perform the next hit as you land a strike.
Yeah. Unfortunately, here's one of the problems with the combo. If you start, they work until you're pummeling on a single enemy. If you're switching an enemy mid combo, the combo resets actually. So you need to be careful which buttons do you press. Anyway, let's unlock another one. Let's see what I do. Yeah, the purple one. Unfortunately, I cannot use it because I need one that uses that triangle button. Anyway, time for an upgrade.
I call it the junk ball. My own recipe. Don't hold
Yeah, so basically,
I've
play
come
the
up with a
update.
new recipe.
Yeah, he has come with a new recipe. Basically, it's actually really simple. When the gauge of the spammer is at full, you can consume it entirely for a single powerful shot. In combat, it's really effective against enemies of all kind, but in game, you use it to destruct fragile structures like that one. In this case, you need to wait until it's charged to close these gates in order to prevent the leapers to come quickly. If you can manage to do it until the time runs out, it's a non-standard game over. Kind of like when you cannot manage to defeat all the clones of DMX in Kingdom Hearts 2. Unfortunately, thankfully, it's not as painful as that. There we go. Now we just need to defeat the main Reapers, and we should be going. Time to go.
Well done,
There we
fella.
go. Switch on.
Oh yeah, the switch on thing. Yeah, basically, Deji, whenever we solve a puzzle in that other game that we were talking about, the voice always says "switch on." Even when there's no switches involved, he just says that for some reason. I guess they couldn't afford to record on a different clip.
He's just a
Unfortunately,
really big fan of the Switch.
I was just about to say that.
Unfortunately, the Leaking Brain is pretty much in shambles, so Tommy will have to find another place to go. But for now, he's gonna point us the way through a Bastille. It's joyful. It's a sewer level.
Tio's favourites.
Sorry about your
Yeah.
Everyone's favorite.
I mean, sure. Well, there have some sewer levels that have been done fine, but
You don't let it swallow you.
and we will never see Tommy again for the rest of the game.
Goody.
Top 10
Wow.
said that's the anime devs. See you for the next part, everyone.
See you later.
See ya.